Yeah, but I think we can start now because my clock says that it's 1 p.m. in Finnish time here. So welcome all to this 4dBarn webinar about labor shortage in your parlor barn and how robotic milking could solve it. And my name is Antti Puuri. I'm an agronomist here in 4dBarn company. And personally, I bring quite a bit of practical insights to our consultant services since I've been working as a herdsman in quite a few farms, dairy farms, before this job. And together, I'm here with Jouni.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jouni Pitkaranta, and I'm an architect. And my background to do the barn design is that actually I haven't done anything else in my life. So I have started it to be when I was very, very young, and before the 4dBarn in my own company, and now with the 4dBarn about almost 9 years so far. Okay, so the first thing I think everybody should have the microphone off and camera is off. So that is the thing that this way we can have the most fluent presentation.
Yes, absolutely.
And then in the end, we will have quite a bit of time for questions, and you can also make questions in a chat.
Yes, and please do. If you have any questions along the webinar, please write them on the chat, and we will go them through at the end of the webinar. But yeah, so today we have a couple of topics. The first one, we will start about how to retrofit the parlor barn to robotic milking and what are the things that you need to consider. And in the second phase, we're going to talk more about the working and the labor efficiency and how to actually achieve a good labor efficiency in robotic milking.
Yes, and like mentioned, so I don't know if how well everybody knows this Teams.
Meet.
Meet. Sorry, Meets. I always say Teams because it's Meets. So that there is this like the button where you can press and then you can make the questions there. Just briefly, quite many people, I guess you have already been in our webinars, but we just very briefly go through what is 4dBarn. If somebody is listening us first time.
Yes, so basically we are a very unique consulting team here from Finland, and we are specialized in functionality of AMS dairy barns. And our journey actually started from 2014, where we started to actually measure these labor times and actually go to robotic barns during the morning shifts just to observe the things and the work routines. And that's kind of like how the 4dBarn was created. And a few things about in Finland and robotic milking here in Finland. So, of course, the robotic milking came in early 2000. And at the moment, roughly 65% of the whole milk that is produced here in Finland comes from the AMS farms. And as you can see from the map, we definitely work in quite a bit of other countries and not just Finland. So at the moment, we already have projects and renovations in 16 different countries.
Yes, we have lots of like partners all over the globe. But the very important for us is that we are working very closely with the Dairyland Initiative, University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we are sharing information with them and it's a very big source of research also for us in 4dBarn.
Yes, absolutely.
Like Antti mentioned, so we have been measuring labor times in robotic barns, and actually this is something what we do. We still do it. So we are visiting robotic barns during morning duties, measuring labor times and observing how the barns are working, and we also do that when we are designing new barns. In very many cases, we go there after like 1 to 2 years after it has been taken into use, and we check that everything is working in a way how we thought, and that's why we can first of all see that if there's some places from some like adjustments and improvements on the processes, and at the same time it also gives us a good like a window to see that we are not repeating the design mistakes. So we want to keep our kind of like the hands in the work and hands in the manure in a kind of way.
Yeah, because of course, in our company, the whole idea is to always improve yourself and improve your services. So we think that the best way to do it is actually observe the real life in the barn, the real life during the work shift. That what happens there, how is the cow flow, how is the people flow, and so on, and how everything could still be a bit better.
These visits we always go there in the early mornings, and that's a little bit like the downside of that. But other than that, those mornings are always very interesting to really see that how people are actually using their barns, and it really like opens the eyes to understand better about the barn functionality.
Yeah, and of course, it really gives us this very valuable information. For example, different barn sizes, and also different cultures in different countries, because there is a lot of variation how different barns are doing and operating, and that you have to think about and take into account when you are designing barns in different countries and in different barn sizes as well.
A little bit about the team. So in addition to me and Antti, we have in our Finnish team, we have Maria Posio. She's a master in science in agriculture, specialized in management and also cows. And then we have Virpi Huotari. She's also master in science in agriculture, and she's our CEO. And she's also very much focused on management things and people management things especially. Then we have two vets working for us in Japan, Miho Tapata and Naoko Kanai. And then we also very happy to have Emeritus Professor David Camel from Wisconsin. After he retired from Wisconsin University, he wanted to start to work with us, and he has been actually working with us from 2017, if I remember it right.
Yes, so we have quite a broad amount of people here, from agronomists to veterinarians to architect and also engineer in our team.
And of course, in addition to this, we also have in different countries like contacts or people to which we work with, and we are very happy. Of course, all these people, because as we know that sometimes things are not, we can't manage the things in English. We need to have people who know the local farmers. They know the local language and they know the local culture, and that's why we also have partners. Almost in every country where we are working, we have some local people.
Yes. So to our today's topic, and so let's start first about this retrofitting topic and how to actually turn your parlor barn to robotic milking.
So why dairy farmers are looking at robots? Well, as the subject of this webinar is about the lack of labor, yes, that's the big deal at the moment. So whatever place it is where we are working, we are hearing comments that it's very difficult to get labor, difficult to keep the labor, and the labor gets more expensive. The labor is becoming the very crucial thing in dairy business, in general, in agriculture too. So that where do we find the people who will work yes. in the dairies?
Yeah, and are we doing the dirty work and possibly in the middle of the night? Are there any in the future?
So then there are also other factors why robots are becoming more interesting. Well, first of all, in some farms, the milking parlor is quite an old one, and it's been used very many hours, and it is just practically wearing out. And as it is the most important machine in the dairy farm, you need to do something with it. And also with the milking parlor, the thing is that the older parlors don't have that much ability to collect data, and that is also something why people are also looking to invest to the new milking system so that they can get more data, which is useful, what you can use managing your farm. And also many farms, they want to expand, they want to grow, and because of that, their present milking system is just not enough so that they could do it with the existing system, and there needs to be an investment to some kind of new milking technology. And now the question is that, do you continue with the parlor, or do you maybe go with the robots? And production issue. So especially smaller family farms, very few of them are milking the cows 3 times a day because of the labor arrangements. It's very difficult. But then if the cows have good genetics and things are going well, there's actually a very good advantage that if the cows could be milked with 3 times a day, and then with the milking parlor again, it might be very difficult to get the labor to do that, and that's why the robotics become much more tempting. Well, what are the choices? The choices are that building a new, or do we renovate the old one? And of course, building a new barn is easy, because then you can kind of like start from the scratch, and you don't have that much limitations. It's easy solution, but it's also a very expensive solution. On the other hand, putting the robots into an old barn, it's an alternative solution. And if we the projects what 4dBarn is doing, roughly 1/3 of the robotic projects what we are doing are these remodelings or retrofits, and we see a very big increasing interest towards that. And I think the most often it's an economical reason. So people just want to save some money, and especially if there's not a big expansion, then this renovation or retrofitting is more justified. But we have a dilemma. We have an old freestyle barn, and as you know that when you have old freestyle barn, let's say it's from 90s or built on 2000, 2010 or something like that, cow comfort, it has developed a lot during the years, and every year we are learning new things, and in those old barns the cow comfort is not always there. There are cows which are standing on the freestalls. The other thing which has changed is that the manure alleys, scrape alleys, they are also within the years they have become wider, and now when we are if we have existing barn, we typically have way much more like thinner alleys than they would be if we were building new. And like in this picture, you see that also ventilation is very often an issue. Somehow, in the kind of like the old times, we were afraid of opening the barns. Maybe we were afraid of freezing or something. The ventilation is not enough. What today's cows are demanding, and if the ventilation and cooling is not good, then the cows are not active and they are not moving. And also the one very like big thing what we see is that when farms are switching from the parlor to robotic building in their existing barns, quite often it happens that they only switch the milking system, but they don't change any other management practices, and that is also a very big challenge. So that they are not learning new skills, they are continuing the way, for example, how the transition is happening. They continue doing the same things, and they don't change the management to be more suitable for robotic milking.
Yes, because one thing is for sure that when you compare the parlor barns and the robotic barns, is that the management is different, and it should change when the milking setup is also changed. But another thing about this slide is that we always recommend that when farms are thinking about retrofitting and changing the milking system, is always to also look at the cow comfort. And is there something that could be improved at the same time when you are retrofitting the barn anyway? And we're gonna also look at those options in later on a bit.
Yes. So we kind of like developed like 3 must things if you are considering a change from the parlor to robots. And these 4 factors is that, first of all, look beyond building time. Then the more space, the better. As third, get robot configuration right. and then, like Antti was just saying, that do the best what you can with the cow comfort. And if we start about the looking beyond building time, which is the factor number one. So we think that despite the hard work and very challenging and demanding building time, it always pays back. You need to suffer the short term, kind of, and we know that when the barn is well designed and we can achieve good results, the remodeling operation cost is lower, so we can still have the good results as in production and labor efficiency in the long run. The thing with the concrete is that when you are building something, you once build it, but then you live with it. Then you live with that. So very seldom we see that the farms, if they are building something and they do a mistake, very seldom it will be renovated or rebuilt again. It will be just as it is, and then just people say that, well, we kind of now live with that because that is what we have. Concrete is a very hard stuff to work with. And we will soon show you an example that when the renovation, when it's well done, the results can be very, very good, almost as good as in the new one. We did some surveys to the farms which have done the robot remodeling, and this was the comments what we heard from them. So first of all, about the building time. The building time typically it was about from 1 month to 3 months per pen, and the pen I mean like the cow group. And the limitations, especially if you are building very fast, is that how fast the concrete will dry and how fast the coatings what you put on top of the robot, like robot room, for example, or under the robot, how fast they will dry. The challenge also is that how do you arrange the animal traffic to the parlor? You need to have some like extra fencing there, maybe some very like strange roads for the cows to go to the milking parlor. In some cases, the routing to the milking parlor was arranged outside of the barn. And you just need to find the way how to do that. And this is actually kind of not so difficult with the milking parlor, but we also have done projects where we renovate existing robotic barns, and then it's more tricky.
Yes, absolutely.
Then we also need to, like in this picture, we need to also protect wet concrete pourings. We need to like take care that they can dry, and there's not any like splashes coming to them. And some building companies are not so happy to do these robot renovations because quite often there's somebody that there are cows around. There's maybe some shitty smell. And there are lots of like interactions between the cows and the construction people. So it's also a challenge. You need to find the good guys to do that. And of course, when you are building and renovating barns and you are working inside in the existing buildings, everything is very much more slower because you are not able to use that big machinery inside in the barn. And when you are taking all this concrete, broken concrete away, it's also pretty slow. So it takes time, but still, as said, you just do it once, and it takes some time, but then it's done. Then the factor number 2 is that we need space. So the first question is that what will be the size of the cows? Will the number of the cows will it be the same? So if the cow number will be the same, then that means that in a cow pen, a cow group, you need to expand the building, or then you need to move some of the groups in the other building. And this is like a good example, like here. Now you can see this like drawing with as used as a milking parlor group, and now when we change that to robots, we actually need to tear down quite a bit of freestyle so that we can have enough space for the robot rooms and also the space in front of the robot. About the robot configuration, how do we install the robots? Especially when we have large-scale farms and we have, it's not necessarily large-scale farms, but we have pens of 2 or 3 robots in one pen, and we have the robots in one end. We need to really be very careful how we locate the robots, because there will be lots of traffic around the robots, in front of the robots, and when the cows are coming out from the robots. And the solution how we quite often do it is that we separate the cows which are going into the robot and the area where they come out, so that they are not kind of like mixing. It is still like a free traffic system, but the like locations to go in and where they come out, they have a distance, and that's why we can keep the area in front of the robots to be just for those cows which are actually going into the robot.
But this can be quite tricky with a retrofit project, and of course it really depends on what kind of barn we are talking about. But sometimes there needs to be done some compromises. But at the end of the day, we always want to ensure that the cows could have as good access to the robots as possible, and it would also be labor efficient to the people and the workers that are working in the barn.
Then about the cow comfort, as said before, we should always take a look at how can we improve ventilation, can we improve cooling, and what can we do with the stalls? What can we do with the stall surface, and what can we do with the loop and loop design, so that we should get that as good as we can. Of course, taking these limitations into account with the dimensions what we have. And when for example, if in a retrofit situation, there will be a need to build new facilities, some new spaces. One view what we have on that is that we would be able to take the fresh group, for example, fresh group in the new facility, and give them more space instead of this existing a bit more tight part which is there. And the other view is that we actually, based on the cow size, we locate older or bigger cows on those areas, new parts where the dimensions are maybe better, and then the space, the area of the old barn would be more for smaller animals like first lactation cows. So this is the way, one nice idea how you can develop the dimensions, and this is possible if you have existing cow barn which has stalls against the walls, but they are a little bit short, and if the structure of the wall is such that you actually can take away existing old wall, or you already have like there an old curtain. You can extend the cow's lung space, so that the space when the cow is raising up in this way, so that you just maybe expand the roof, or if you have already enough long overhang, is that you just use the area under the overhang a bit more, and then you just expand the floor, and then you install the new whole sidewall in the new location, like in this red diagram, like here. And quite often this in old barns, this length of the stalls might be 2.5 meters. If we can increase it with 50 centimeters and making this, we named this to be like a dog house expansion. If you can do it, then you can solve the issue with the short stalls on the sidewalls, and that is one very nice thing. And also quite often at the same time you can also have the new curtain and have you can maximize the ventilation in this expansion part.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the good ways to actually like update your barn to actually match the current cow sizes that we have at the moment, and also give them a bit better chances to actually produce what their genetic potential actually has. to offer. And here is something, some slide that why we in 4dBarn really like to point out that why the design point is so important when you start to retrofit, or when you think about building a new or building some retrofit project, is that when you think about the timeline of the barn, and now we have, for example, 20 years of timeline here when the barn is in function. So the building or the renovation, that just happens once. And that normally it means that it's maybe some months if we're talking about some retrofit project. But then this barn starts to work, and then it's working, and it needs to work for the next decades or many decades. And then those little details that you maybe skip in the building phase or renovation phase, they really the effect of them starts to really multiply in everyday life. One of the example is that we unfortunately still see that when we are thinking about this retrofit project where parlor-to-robot, we have milking robot, too often the robots are just dropped somewhere in the barn, which is convenient in the point of view of the building time. And in that phase, some people don't really think about the function of the robots and how the everyday life will be in there. And in those cases, sometimes we see that the expectations that the farmers have been, it's not really fulfilled.
Yeah, this old saying, "Save now, pay later," or "Pay now, save later," is a very good saying when we are thinking about the robot remodeling and retrofitting. So you might save some money when the installation is fast and simple, but then you are paying it later many times more because the barn is not working as it should be. So we always say choose functionality. Choose functionality.
Yes, absolutely. And so, that brings us to the next topic, which is about the working and the labor efficiency. So, as mentioned earlier, working in the robot barn, it differs quite a bit from working from the parlor. From the parlor, of course, we are moving the herd as once, and in a robot barn, we kind of like actually want to disturb the main group cows as less as possible, and really give the cows the chance to live on their own. And we want to interfere to their life as minimal as possible. And that's really, I would say, one of the main difference about this philosophy of robotic milking. And that's why we really think that all the different working routines, all the handling tasks should be updated when the milking setup will change as well.
Yeah, this is just like a very old concept example to one farm. What we like did like a concept idea how the robotic milking could be taken into use, so that typically and this is very typical milking parlor barn with a central cross lane, and then we have groups on both sides and 2 pens, and then we have the milking parlor and holding area there. And this was just a concept idea to show that how things will change when we are talking about the robotic milking. We are creating like bigger groups so that we can make groups of 3 milking robots, and we combine these groups, and then we have the handling areas on the ends of the barn, and then all this kind of like this transfer lane becomes to be a new one here on the end, and then maybe some new build for the close-ups, and then the fresh cows would be on this area, and far of dry cows this area. So we use the existing buildings efficiently, but we kind of like rethink everything, how the grouping and those things could happen there.
Yes, because quite often with the robotic milking, we always have to rethink about the grouping strategy. If that will change, how does the feeding will change, and do we need to take that also into consideration in the late phase, and so on. But then still a few words about the handling of the cows in large scales of robotic milking. This is another thing that we really point out here, because as said earlier, we have measured quite a bit of labor times during those morning shifts. And in a robot barn, what we see is that actually many things that the workers are doing in the barn has something to do with the cow handling. How are the cows handled? How are they fed? And so on. And that is one of the things that is really, really different compared to the parlor barn. In a parlor barn, you normally have some sort of a separated area, maybe close to the milking area, where the cows are collected and all the handling happens over there. But what happens now when we change the system and we don't collect the cows anymore to this one milking parlor? So it can be pretty different from that. And of course, this is something that it varies from farm to farm. In some area, in some farms where we've been working, we have still created these kind of like centralized handling areas where all the handling can be concentrated. But in some other versions, we have created these smaller handling areas right next to each robot group. But this is really one of the things that we kind of like find out after we have had some discussions with the farmers and we know about their working routines and who, for example, do the inseminations and veterinarian checks and so on, because all of those routine tasks really affect where these handling tasks should be happening.
Well, talking about the large robot barns, we also have been doing some research with them. Actually, I did this together. Maybe some of you might know Jack Rodenberg from Ontario, Canada. I did together with him and this American Dairy Science Association publication in 2016, where actually we investigated large robotic barns and their labor efficiency. These farms were located in the United States, Canada, Germany, and Denmark, and they were sized from 400 to 1,200 cows. And when we counted there how many minutes per cow they are using in those farms, and that was including the daily work with the cows, heifers, cows, and feeding, like a routine work what you do every Saturday. And that varied from 2.1 minutes to 4.9 minutes, and average was 3.6 minutes per cow. And we also looked the number how much milk is being how much you get milk from in a labor hour, and then we compare it to the other study what we have done ourselves in 4dBarn, and this was the founding, so that. The variation in the farms, smaller family farms, was very, very big. It was from 150 liters milk per labor hour up to 950 liters milk per labor hour. And these farms, typically, they were from one robot to I think the 6 or 7 robots was the biggest one. And then when we compared that to the large farms, like here, from 400 cows to 1,200 cows, what we found out that these large farms actually they also have a very big variation, and the variation is very big when you think about how much when you multiply it with the big number of the cows. The variation was there, but it wasn't that big as in the small farms.
Yeah, and one little detail from the diagram was that, for example, there were still some farms in the small farm section, like some farms that have only like a couple of robots. So I mean, like fairly small family farms. But their labor efficiency was still almost as good as the best ones in the large herd farms. So it's not always that, you know, the more cows you have, you are more efficient. It's not that straightforward.
Yeah, in a way, I would say that these are good news for the smaller farms, so that you really can achieve high labor efficiency even with the let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 robots, and so that you don't need to have 20 robots, so that in order to achieve the very high labor efficiency.
Yeah, and also one thing to consider when you are a big farmer, that what can you do better, and are you the lowest one, or what could you do to actually improve the labor efficiency? And so here is also a little bit data of our own data. As mentioned earlier, we have measured these labor hours during the work shift in mornings in different barns, and this is kind of like all this kind of data that we collect. So we try to find out how much work is being done in different areas of the barn and what are the specific task that people are doing there, and how much time they are using it to that task. And so that actually really gives us really valuable data of different barns and different systems, and also different working routines that we can take into the design phase.
And we also have in that data, we also have like a benchmark numbers, so we can show the average, and it's a very nice tool, for example, to the farm to see that in which area in work in the dairy barn they are better, and in which areas they are not so good compared to the other farms. Because of course, as you know, that if you want to improve something, it's always easiest to improve the areas where you are the weakest.
Yes.
And that is a very good tool for that too.
Yes.
But now let's take this one very nice example. So this is a project what we designed. This actually was one of the first projects what we did in 4dBarn. We did the design. I think it was 2017 when we designed this parlor barn to be remodeled and expanded to 4 milking robots. And that was so the starting point was that they had a milking parlor, double 10 milking parlor and holding area here where the blue thing is, and there was 2 people working in the barn at the same time. And then by the interview, we asked from the farm that what was the work shift duration when they had the milking parlor, and it's roughly about altogether about 5.5 labor hours, like 2 people together. So the other one was working like 3.5, and the other was working like 2 hours on that working shift. And now we are talking only about the work with the cows. So
the main group cows.
Main group cows.
Yes.
And in that farm, during this milking parlor time, they were spending 11 labor hours per day. And it was 3 minutes per cow that work, and their production was 33 liters per cow. And
Yes.
then when they switched to robots, they have 4 robots here. So there are 2 pens of 2 robots. And then we also like expanded so that there was a new VIC pen, so the straw pen for the close-up calving and fresh cows, and then here we have the sort area for the sick cows, antibiotic cows, dry off cows, and also the handling chute for the cows. And now in this new situation, we were here in 2021 or something. We were here and we did this our visit, and we used this like application, and we measured all the labor times. And in that time, this main cow area was operated by 1 person. And when we counted fetching, cleaning robots, and cleaning stalls, and washing waters, and scraping alleys, it was this working shift. It was 1.5 labor hours that work, and because that work is done twice, that means that this farm is spending 3 labor hours for the main group of 220 cows per day, and now this time was 50 seconds per cow. And the happy thing, and that was something that the farm was very positively surprised, is that actually the production went up to 39 liters from 33.
Yeah, so basically, like after this, we went through our design process, and we of course talked about the work routines and how they will be changed, and then they build these new expansions with the robots. So the results was that basically from the day they had got rid of 8 hours of labor and got 6 liters more milk per day. So that was very, very a great success story.
Yeah, we would hope all the projects to be,
Yes.
to be the results to be something like this, and especially this increase in the production was something that in that farm, this 2 times milking was very much also limiting the performance of the cows. So now when they got the 3rd milking, they really could glow.
Yes.
And really show what the cows can.
Yes, and also like Jouni mentioned earlier, like when we do need to make some sort of expansions, then we always prefer to have these most important cows in those new facilities, and that's what we did here. So we could actually improve the cow comfort of the farm.
So
one thing, one thing to here really point out after the last slide was that time for sure really is money. And here is just an example calculation. Here we have a bit bigger farm, so we have 13 robots and 720 cows in milk. Just an example farm. And if there is a farm A, which is this size, and they are using 2.6 minutes per cow per day, it means that in one day they use about 31 labor hours. And that is like total work with the cows. And if we take the farm B, which is kind of like the average farm, and they spend 1 minute more per cow. Well, that means that they use 43 labor hours per day, and the difference is 12 hours per day, which is almost 4,400 hours in a year. And if you think 15 years, it's almost 66,000 hours.
And when you change that to money, and we like in this example, we have counted this to be 18 hours per hour cost for the farm. Then that ends up in 15 years. That ends up to be about 1.2 million euros in 15 years. And let's say that will be, for example, like life cycle of the robots or something. So the time is really money. And just to point out that these 2.6 minutes and 3.6 minutes, these are something we haven't like figured these out ourselves. This is like when we look our data and when we look the good ones, actually the best ones actually are way much more under this, and this is the average. So we are not even comparing the bad one and the good one. We are comparing the good one and the average one. So yes. in real life, the variation could be even way much more bigger.
Yeah, and this is something that easy exercise for all the listeners to actually calculate that. What about like in your farm, if you could use 1 minute less time for each cow per day, how much would it save money in your case?
And again, like in this case, we are talking about saving 4,400 hours per year. Of course, depending on the country, at least here in Finland, this would mean that this would be more than two people like yearly. Hours here, this 4,300 hours. So you can farm A and farm B are saving the farm A is saving 2 employees per year, or like in total 2 people less working in the farm.
Yes. And here was one slide just to like illustrate kind of like the differences in work shifts in different kind of barns with different milking machines, because we all know that there is plenty of different options that how you can milk the cows. And how we think in 4dBarn, it is that basically there is this robot barn way where the cows actually, and now we talk about this free flow traffic where the cows enter the robots by themselves, and we really try to stay away from the main group pen as much as possible. And then we have this kind of like parlor style barns. So we collect all the cows as a group, and then we take them to some place, and then the milking happens over there. So how we like to see it, this is for example from a 5-robot barn, like around 300 cows, is that we always like to think that the main task would be done in 2 sections, and that's roughly what we have heard from the farmers, that how long it should take. So basically 1 people working on at the same time around 4 hours at the same time. That should be plenty enough when everything is working properly, that you finish all the main things in the barn that needs to be done with the cows. But of course, when you think about these parlor style barns, quite often you do need one guy who is doing the fetching, and most of the cases you do need another guy who is doing some sort of observation. If they are not doing the milking and they have, for example, some rotary carousel or something like that, quite often there needs to be some sort of assistant in those cases. So quite often you do need 2 people there at the same time, which of course means that in one work shift there would be 2 people, and if your cows are going to be milked 3 times a day, that's quite often that you have the morning shift, you have the day shift, and then you have the night shift, which looks something like that on the diagram. So of course it does take quite a bit more people to do the work itself.
Yeah, and like I say, so this parlor style barn. So now we are talking of course it could be conventional milking parlor, but now we also are talking about like rotary robots and batch milking systems. And of course the system and the difference in those systems is that they are actually way much more closer to the parlor milking ideology, but then in that systems the milking itself is just the one which has been automatized, but the box robot milking system is completely different. So that is the difference between these two systems. And we do know that also, like in batch milking, we have heard that sometimes they can be managed with one person who is doing everything. But of course, then the question is that what is the like realistic capacity of that system, and how many cows you actually can manage. But again, it's a system which is very like if you want to keep your management system as with the milking parlor, and you are okay with the 24/7 milking, like people working in the barn, then of course it is an option for sure.
Yes. And these are always these very, very farm-based decisions, and there are always much more other variators as well. And we also, like in 4dBarn, we do pretty much all kind of projects. So we already have done quite a few of projects with, for example, rotary parlors and so on. So it's nothing new for us. But so does the milking robots then guarantee labor efficiency? I hope I could say yes, but unfortunately I need to say no. So we have seen quite a bit of the cases that the farmers have not been so satisfied with the robots itself. And quite often in the background there is this idea that right now I just buy the milking robot and then I'm done with the milking. And that kind of like solves the issues that I have. But what we've seen that it's normally it's not enough. It's not enough just to replace the milking, because there are so many other things happening in the barn, so many other tasks that you or the workers need to be doing. And for example, there's just one of the list of the all work that robot is not doing any of those. Robot does the milking, but for example, all the related things that animal handlings, service work, and so on, people still need to do it. And with the layout, with the gates, with the work routine, with those things, we actually can make the differences.
And we in 4dBarn, how we can help you so that you would be successful with the robotic milking. So we have a very unique this coaching and design process what we are doing. So we always start from management planning. So in 4dBarn, I think we differ from the other like how the design normally is being done. We differ it in such a way that we actually start from the management. So we actually go through the management in the very beginning, just discussing with the farm what way of management would be in a very detailed level, and that is that is the basis for us to go on.
Yes, and we think before we can start to design the barn to the farmer, we need to know what kind of style management he has, what kind of animal handling facilities they have, all these things that actually affect crucially to the barn layout itself.
Yes, and then as this management plan is ready, then we do the robot areas, then we do the layouts, and then we also do working simulations where we actually test those management protocols on top of the layouts, so that we can see that does the layout support our management style, and not vice versa. So we always want to secure that the management practices will be okay before the barn is being built. And then we also create a gate plan, and in its robotic systems, gates are super important, and we want really them to, so that the gates are fitting to your management system, and they really help you and really get things going in the robot barn as good as possible, so that the result is that we have a dairy facility which is easy to use, and it's logical, and it also supports the farm goals and management, and so that the farmers like it, and also it's also very good for the cows.
Yes, and of course we really always like to work together with the farm advisors and the vets, because these advisors normally they already have this long background and history with the farmers, so we always like to have them also into the discussions when we are thinking about the new barn and the new facilities.
And also the dealer. So robot dealers, I know that there's some of you are already listening to us, and we are very happy about that you have also come to listen to us. So we work with the dealers, and we really highly respect the dealers. They have lots of knowledge about the machinery and its requirements too. And we always in our design process, we also want to integrate them to be the part of the design process, so that we also have meetings with them when we do the projects, and we see so that it's a win-win for everybody. It's also a win for the dealer, so that the better the barn will be and the more functional the barn will be, the better it's also for the robotic company. We have very good examples what we have done where the robot dealer is very happy to show the barn what we have designed, because the results are good, and of course the most importantly, the farmer is happy. That's the most important thing.
Yes, and like you said, that's the main point and of the aim of all of us, that we always want that the farmers gets the best barn as possible. So in addition to our coaching service, we have also created this kind of e-learning webinars and e-courses on different topics. If there are some farmers who, like, for example, want to specifically do something about their transition cows or their facilities or their freestalls or something like that, and for that purpose, we have created this e-courses, and for you, all the listeners, there's actually this 50% discount with code, this remodeling web 50%. So please take that into account. And another thing to point out, that if you're a farmer and you already have a barn layout and you would like some expert to review it, we have actually created this 4dBarn traffic light analysis, where we can actually analyze these different barn layouts, just so you get understanding how we think it is working, and what is there something that could be done even better.
Yeah. And of course, if you are interested and you have some thoughts to build something, or you as an advisor, you have a client who is thinking about building a new robotic barn, so we are always open for the discussion, and we always start this so that we have a free meeting where we can talk about with the farmer and what he or she has in his or her mind, and then we can see how we can help the farm.
Yes, absolutely. So if there is anything, just please contact us for the info at 4dbarn.com, or I think we're going to have the link to the contact form in the chat as well at some point. But I think that's about it. And now I really hope that you liked about our webinar, and now we're open for some questions if there is anything from the audience.
You can also open the microphone if you feel more comfortable with that way. So it's okay. We are not here, not that many that we can do it all that way.
Yes. Oh, Tari Jörg has a raised hand.
I heard the voice. Blink, blink.
Yes. Go ahead, Tari.
Okay. Hello. Just maybe experience that I have with 4dBarn so far. So we've made like 6 projects together, and every one of them was different. So we made like new projects, we made retrofits, and we made like partially retrofits. And what's the most important thing is the time farmers spent in the barn after they build it or retrofit it. This is something that I would like to point out, that it's worth the time spent in webinars working with you, making the project. So it's an investment, it's not an expense. So that's what I would like to say.
Yeah, thank you. Yes,
thank you.
Very nice to hear that, and we definitely agree on that. So too often when new barns are designed and also built, it's just the construction times that that people are talking, but not so much about afterlife, which is actually the time then the barn is producing and should be producing. So I think that is definitely the period of time where we should focus more and more also in the general discussions.
We had an open house 2 weeks ago here in Finland, a new barn with 5 milking robots, and we started the project with this farm 3 years ago, and the farmer when we were interviewing the farm, they say actually that the building time, the building itself in a barn investment process is bargains. It's nothing. So the most important thing is that what you are doing before the building and what you are doing after the building, and the building itself, it's like peanuts in this whole picture. So I think it was very well said. So that the farmer, she said that too much farms just focus on the building and the building itself, and they forgot these design processes, and especially they forget how to use it and how to get best out of that.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, when you do the calculation, for example, it's way different if you, for example, get 1 more liter extra per cow than not. And that is all the things that you can also affect in the design phase as well.
Okay, is there any other questions?
Yes.
or comments or
nothing
whatever?
yet on the chat? But if there are any questions, please feel free to write to the chat or just open your mic.
Okay, so I think if there are not any questions, I think then I think we can.
Yes.
First of all, thanks for you participating to this webinar, and also like the one thing is that I think it will be after like 1-2 days or something, you will get the link to this recording, so you can rewatch it.
Yes.
And also, of course, those persons who were signing in and couldn't come, they get that too. So you can also watch it again and again and again.
Yes. And of course, if later on some questions rises to your mind or something like that, just then please feel free to send us an email, and we'll be getting back to you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and we wish you a nice fall time, and we are very much hoping to hear from you from a way or another.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.